That was Juice WRLD's girlfriend, Ali Lottie, hinting from the jump that his death wasn't what it seemed. And now, turns out she was right. The man tied to the deal that led to Juice's final moments just got sentenced. And it's flipping everything we thought we knew. This ain't just a court decision. It's a straight-up twist in one of music's biggest tragedies. The trial's done. The guy who helped push the pills that killed one of the most gifted artists of our time just walked out of court with a sentence so light it feels like a joke. No gun, no violence, just a bag full of pills that turned deadly. And now, he's barely paying the price. Fans are outraged, and Juice's own mother had to stop and catch her breath in court. The disrespect was that real. She said, "This can't be it."
Get all the phones close. Can we get a bag for you?
Oh, I think I got one.
Because it wasn't just about one moment. It was a slow setup. Juice was surrounded by people paid to keep him going, not protect him. And instead, they helped keep the fire burning till it exploded. This wasn't just an accidental overdose. This was a cycle. People profiting, turning a blind eye, hyping up the chaos. And now, they're trying to act like it's all in the past. But nah, the truth's out, and we're not letting this get swept under the rug. In that emotional breakdown, Ali Lottie wasn't just venting. She was screaming at the internet. And why? Because, in her own words, the neat little story we've all been told, the just another overdose version, is straight up fake. She's calling it what it is, a lie. So why would she say something that bold? Because what actually went down on that jet is way darker than what the headlines ever told us. Let's run the real timeline. December 8th, 2019, Juice WRLD, born Jared Higgins, boards a private jet from LA to Chicago. He had just turned 21. A new chapter, new energy, right? But that plane wasn't just carrying dreams. It was packed with secrets. According to federal reports, the pilot had already tipped off the feds, warning there were guns and drugs on board. And the moment they landed, it all blew up.
Had issues with drugs even before you started to get famous and rich?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it was something that I was into early, low-key, due to music. Cause like, I was a music head, so like in 6th grade, 7th grade, I'm hearing songs about sipping lean. And that shit had me wanting to sip lean at like 11, 12 years old, bro.
Yeah.
In a split-second panic, Juice allegedly swallowed a bunch of Percocet pills, not to get faded, but to avoid jail. That decision? It wasn't random. These were the same people who let a young man fly cross-country dirty. And when he panicked, they just stood there as he swallowed a deadly mix of pills. And those pills? The U.S. Department of Justice later confirmed that Henry Dean, someone close to Juice WRLD, was the one who brought them on board. The punishment? A total slap in the face. Dean walked away with just 3 years probation and a fine. Meanwhile, Juice is gone. Forever. Fans aren't just mad, they're heartbroken and furious. Because this wasn't just one mistake. It was years of warning signs. And too many people sat back and watched it happen. Why? Because the money kept flowing. Even Juice himself was crying out for help near the end. He talked openly about wanting to quit, about how the addiction had its claws in him since he was a kid, just 11 years old. And he admitted, it was music that pulled him in. Specifically, Future's lyrics made that life sound cool. And it wasn't just him saying it. His mother confirmed everything.
I just literally, I'm like, oh, blah, blah, blah. You guys think he died from a drug overdose. You're wrong. You're wrong. Literally, you're wrong. So suck it, okay?
He told me he was ready to get help, she said. She remembered how, just months before he died, Juice was finally feeling like himself again. Off the lean, talking about therapy, starting to fight back. You hear that? Instead of giving fans closure, Interscope allegedly flipped Juice WRLD's death into a launchpad for someone else's career. That ain't music. That's straight-up corporate necromancy. And what did the fans get in return? Chopped up Frankenstein-style Juice tracks, spliced with verses from artists he never co-signed. A deluxe album that was teased, then dangled like bait. Unless you gave streams to another artist first. And they had the nerve to call this a tribute? Nah, this was business, cold-blooded. Juice WRLD was their golden ticket. Even in death, they kept cashing him in. Now ask yourself, how many people saw this train wreck coming and stayed silent? How many watched Juice spiral and did nothing? Ali Lottie didn't hold back. She said only one woman, a stranger, ever stepped in. Everyone else just stood by, watched him fall. But when Juice hit the floor, he didn't just collapse physically. He dropped right through the cracks of an industry that eats its own, especially when they're young, gifted, and in pain. And unless we start calling it out, it's only gonna happen again. This wasn't just one chaotic night at an airport. The system failed him way before that. The so-called protection, the labels, the managers, even legal oversight, all of it had already broken down. And the warning signs? They were everywhere. But here's what most people don't know. There actually were people trying to save him. Just weeks before Juice WRLD died, while on tour in Australia, some of his closest collaborators, like Max Lord, stepped in. They sat him down, told him straight, "We're scared we're gonna lose you."
I wouldn't say necessarily if you're lying to fans about putting out Juice WRLD's music and you're having them basically forcing them to go support the Kid Leroy, that's the best thing to do. But truth be told, and I'm really trying to, I don't want to be disrespectful with this phrase, but one monkey don't stop a show. Like, Juice passed away. They running business over there. They're not about to be like, all right, let's keep crying and just put Juice's stuff out. They're trying to get the next horse to, again, it's
That raw, emotional moment pushed Juice to finally agree to rehab. He was scheduled to check in on December 22nd, 2019. That was supposed to be his turning point, his chance to finally break free. But he never made it. He died 14 days earlier. Even Lil Bibby, his label head and longtime friend, was shaken when he found out Juice was taking 4 perks at a time. He helped organize another intervention, describing it like pulling teeth just to get Juice to say yes to treatment. Bibby had already locked in a rehab spot, but Juice, still stuck in denial, said he'd cut down before fully quitting. Let that sink in. They knew. They knew he was playing with fire. They knew rehab was booked. And somehow, he still ended up on that plane, carrying enough pills to end it all. So what the hell happened? His own mother saw it clearly. The folks around him, they weren't protecting him. They were protecting the money. When someone becomes $1 million machine, their health takes a back seat. Everything becomes about keeping the cash flowing. This wasn't just a scare. This was serious. That airport incident reportedly landed Juice WRLD on the FBI's watch list for drug possession. Yeah, the feds had their eyes on him for months. And when that private jet touched down at Chicago's Midway Airport on December 8th, what authorities found? It was wild. Right up until the end. Why? Simple. Because dead artists don't make money, but neither do artists in rehab. That's the twisted logic. The people around Juice WRLD did try. The interventions were real, but they came too late. And even when they stepped up, it still wasn't enough.
I'm not saying he ain't whatever pills allegedly he took or whatever that made him overdose. I ain't saying he didn't do it that himself, but the police that spooked him would not be there if niggas around him weren't putting him.
His mother, Carmela Wallace, and collaborators like Rex Kudo and Ayap Berry all tried to confront the addiction. But by then, the whole system had already let him down. And here's the part that really hits hard. The main intervention? It happened just 1 week before December 8th, 2019. Lil Bibby, Max Lord, Carmela, Rex, Peter G. Wolf, Bari, everyone came together. They had one goal, get him help. They agreed he needed rehab. They pushed him to go. And yet, somehow, he still ended up on that plane. The question that's haunted them ever since. How do you go from an intervention one week to a funeral the next? That's where the real problem shows itself, deep inside the music industry. When an artist becomes a money-printing machine, every second counts. A tour missed is cash lost. A detox means silence. Sobriety? It doesn't sell the same. So instead of giving Juice the emergency care he clearly needed, they put rehab off for 2 weeks. Just 2 weeks. Yellow Card claimed lucid dreams ripped off their song, and they wanted $15 million. For a young artist already drowning in addiction and staring down federal charges, that lawsuit hit like a wrecking ball.
No one. There was one person out of all the people that were there that were able to help, not talking about the group that we were with, because they were handcuffed, so there's not much they could do. But everyone else that was there was only one person who helped me. It was a woman. I'm so grateful for her.
The timing? Brutal. Juice WRLD was trying to get clean, trying to rebuild, and suddenly, his biggest hit, the song that made him a star, was turning into the thing that could financially destroy him. The pressure from that alone could have been enough to trigger a full relapse. But the real proof that the system failed? It showed up after he died. After Juice passed, Yellow Card kept the lawsuit going against his estate, at first. They hit pause while the court worked on assigning an executor. Then, in July 2020, they quietly dropped the case. The reason? Not justice, not fairness. They were worried about bad PR and the sympathy pouring in for Juice's grieving mom. While his family was grieving and fans were still mourning, the internet went wild. The conspiracy machine kicked into overdrive, turning Juice WRLD's death into non-stop content. But here's the twist. Not all of those theories sounded so far-fetched once you started digging into what really went down after he passed. Because when you pull back the curtain on the aftermath of Juice's death, things start looking off. Controversial decisions, strange business moves, loose ends that still haven't been tied up. Even people who don't believe in wild conspiracies started asking questions. Let's start with the biggest one of them all, the idea that Juice WRLD faked his death. This theory exploded on TikTok and Reddit, fueled by a 2017 tweet Juice posted where he wrote, "My goal is to get overly famous, shine for a couple years, then fake my death." That tweet? 2 years before he blew up with lucid dreams. For some fans, it felt like a blueprint, like he planned his exit all along. Then things got even weirder.
Like, his best interest wasn't being looked out for. I think people had their own agendas. I think they liked the lifestyle. And they were young too, so I have to give them that. They're young, so they don't see things the way, we would see them. But I just think that he just didn't have the people in place that just tell him to stop or no, or he just didn't have that support system in place.
Some users claim to see flight tracker data showing a Falcon 900 jet, supposedly linked to him, landing in the Bahamas on December 8, 2019. That fueled talk that he fled instead of died. Now, to be clear, official records confirm he flew from California to Chicago, not the Bahamas. His funeral was held on December 13, 2019, with family and close friends in attendance, including Ski Mask the Slump God. Was it just a tribute, a marketing play, or something deeper? Reddit lit up with debates. Some fans saw those cryptic messages and albums as emotional tributes. Others called them straight-up disrespectful. But here's the real issue. When someone who is actually close to Juice WRLD starts dropping content that fuels conspiracy talk, it makes people wonder what really happened during those final months. And then comes the darkest theory of all. The idea that Juice WRLD's own label was somehow involved in his death. Some fans believe Grade A Productions may have played a role to keep control over his 3,000-plus unreleased tracks. Sounds wild, but the whispers only got louder when Ali Lottie started making cryptic, emotional statements questioning the official story. Think about that timing. Juice WRLD dies on December 8, 2019, and just months later, his unreleased tracks are already being packaged, processed and sold like inventory. His voice ends up on collabs he never agreed to. His face slapped on merch he never designed. At this point, it's not just about conspiracies. It's about real, documented exploitation of a young man's legacy. And it goes way beyond the music.
That before his passing, he told you that he made the decision to get professional help.
He did.
Was he ready to go to rehab?
He sounded like it. And months before then, I say like in September, when I went to see him, he seemed like himself, you know, like my baby. We just had such a good time hanging out. I brought him one of his favorite sandwiches from Chicago, so we're just hanging out, and you know, he wasn't doing the lean anymore. I could tell it was a difference in him, that he wasn't doing the lean. I think he was still doing pills, but he told me he was ready to.
Fans started questioning the way his posthumous releases were being handled. Were these really his vision, or just quick cash grabs disguised as tributes? Because when someone dies at 21 with thousands of unreleased songs, who decides which ones define his legacy? Who gets to say what he would have wanted? The painful answer? It's the same people who couldn't, or wouldn't, save him. But the conversation doesn't stop there. The conspiracy talk gets darker, way darker. Some fans believe Juice WRLD's death wasn't just about his circle or his label. They say it's part of a pattern, a disturbing one. Some fans saw that eerie TikTok trend, people faking seizures to lucid dreams, as a sign, a warning, a prophecy. Even though logically, we know a meme didn't cause Juice WRLD's real seizure. That was caused by drug toxicity, plain and simple. But the fact that fans were digging for meaning in things like that shows just how desperate they were. They wanted answers. They needed something that made sense. Because the official version, that a 21-year-old with money, fame, love, and rehab already scheduled, still died alone on an airport floor, that didn't sit right with people who truly cared.
Y'all don't know that I fucking grieve through myself while I let y'all grieve and talk mad shit on me. I don't care. I'm gonna go ahead and be what y'all want me to be, which is me, okay? All 10K of y'all. And they like that Barbie. Yup.
In those final months, Juice was waking up. He was cutting off fake friends, spotting the people who were using him, trying to take back control of his story. But then comes the question that really shakes people. What if Juice WRLD had survived that night? Because that question exposes something even more painful. How we, as a society, weigh a person's life against the threat of legal punishment. Now really think about how twisted this whole thing is. We're out here debating whether a 21-year-old was better off dead than facing the justice system. We're analyzing if overdosing was somehow the smart choice compared to doing time. Some users argued he could have beat the case with the right lawyer. Others said the evidence was way too stacked, that no legal team could have saved him.
My friends no more. Like, I could probably count my friends on one hand. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of people switched up. A lot of people feel entitled. I don't owe nobody shit, man. Like, they not the ones writing my raps. You know what I'm saying? I'm the creative genius behind everything that I got going on. So, like.
But all of it points to something way deeper. A brutal truth in a system where young black men are constantly staring down decades behind bars for nonviolent drug charges. So we're left asking the most uncomfortable question of all. Was Juice WRLD's death a tragedy or a mercy? We're not giving you the answer. That's on you. But if this hit you, if you felt something, don't let it stop here.
Oh, blah, blah, blah. You guys think he died from a drug overdose. You're wrong. There's a lot of y'all don't.
Go ahead and like this video, subscribe for more untold stories, and drop a comment with your take on everything we covered. Share it with someone who needs to hear this.